Welcome to New Mommy at 40, a honest, informative, and non-judgmental podcast for those navigating to and through parenthood in their 40s. Today's episode is all about beyond baby making mode, how my new friend and yours too, holistic fertility coach Juliana Avella, is helping women in their 40s to design their fertility journey and still put themselves first along the way. We're talking about taking care of the whole vessel, mind, body, and spirit, and preparing that womb to welcome your new little one. I hope you enjoy all of her tips. She's got some amazing ones. But before we get into it, please subscribe, follow wherever you're listening to this so you don't miss a single episode. All right, let's get into it. It didn't happen in my 20s. Who cares? Now I've got all this fancy wisdom to share. Hey, I've got this baby. You're getting the best of me, 'cause I'm a new mommy at 40. Juliana Avella is a certified health and fertility coach and holistic nutritionist specialist in women's and babies' health from conceiving to birth and beyond. She believes that the primary tool we have for a healthy life is to have the knowledge and confidence to make our own choices. She's been helping women for the last 11 years to conceive and thrive in a healthy pregnancy. And she can also speak for herself as she's currently expecting a baby at 42. It's such a pleasure to have her here today, and I can't wait for you to meet her. I want to first congratulate you on your pregnancy.
Thank you. My 4th pregnancy.
I know. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations. And let's remind everyone, how old are we? How old are you?
I am 42 and conceived naturally.
That's awesome. And, just so we are clear with everybody else, your previous children, how old were you when you had them?
So my first child I had when I was 29. The second one I was 31. The third one I was 40. And the fourth one I will be 42 because she will be coming next month.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. So you have a lot of wisdom in a couple of different categories here of being a mom of multiples, being a mom, in your 20s versus your 40s. I mean, we can, this is why I really think we could do a couple of episodes. But today, as I said, we're focusing on maximizing your fertility after age 35, because that's our crowd here, our friends in this community. Mm-hmm. So I love you when looking you up, and I hope everyone finds you after this, but Beyond Making Baby Mode. Tell us about that, how that came about and what that means to you.
Yeah. So what it is I truly believe that especially when we as we age, we judge ourselves too much and we push ourselves. We put so much pressure in ourselves, in our bodies, in our commitment of becoming a mother or everything else in our lives, especially being a woman. I feel that so much pressure from the society, from our families, from our partners. And Beyond Baby Making Mode is kind of like a combine all these things together with showing people that we are more than a pregnancy test. We are more than a motherhood. We are mother and our own child, because many of women like me, like myself, even on my 20s, 30s, we annihilate our desires. We annihilate, like when a child comes, it kind of like the women disappear. Our wishes, our desires, our raw hobbies, it's just about the kid, about the family, about and everything else. And working with women trying to conceive, especially in their 40s, I feel that the pressure and the desire of achieving the goal of getting a pregnancy test, getting the baby inside their womb, it's so huge, but they ended forgetting about themselves and forgetting that the connection to themselves is the first step for a successful pregnancy. I've been working with women, like most of my clients nowadays are on their 40s plus, like 41, 44, 39, almost 40, because they put so much pressure. I need to get pregnant. And I said, okay, hold on. I understand your goal is that, and I can help you with that. But tell me about you. Like, what does your life look like right now? Do you? I have either clients that are trying for second or third child, like after careers, after, second or third relationship and stuff. And I do have clients that are just starting trying on their 41 because they just decided to hold on. But then when this desire comes and the motherhood kind of like touches their heart, they're so focused on the goal that they don't know like how to thrive in the between, right?
Mm,
And how to connect. And one of my goals, one of my missions, it's always to teach and to show how this connection with your femininity, like being a female, being a woman, learning about your body. I have many clients that come so frustrated from doctor's appointment that they don't take the time to explain how our body works.
mm.
And this is the main thing. Even when we were 15 and some girls start taking birth control on 15 just because they don't want to bleed, they have no idea how those pills can harm their body,
Yeah.
how they will stop their hormones to be produced naturally, and this would trigger many other issues in their lives, like later on, maybe not on their 15s or their 20s, but on their 30s, on their 40s.
Oh, yeah.
So what I feel is that lack of knowledge about ourselves. And this is the first step that I always take time to teach my clients, to learn how their body works, learn the role of the hormones, learn how we ovulate, why we bleed, how beautiful is your period, and how important it is every cycle to renovate, and this kind of like a metamorphose that happens with the women every single month. So beyond baby making mode and all the programs that I create by my company Made Simple Nutrition is to make it believe and conceive is one of those that it's like first you need to believe yourself. First, you need to empower yourself with knowledge, learning about how your body works, how some types of food will benefit your body and your fertility through your journey of conceiving a baby, especially on your 40s. And of course, how the mindset and everything we feel and we think and we believe will affect the success or the failure of this process.
It's so important because I am totally guilty of this. It's funny because even in the community that I've been building, because I longed for it, right? And the good thing is I'm learning along the way, and it's funny to find yourself saying one thing to people but then not using those tools for yourself. I'm sure I've said this, a variation of this, to people, like, it's you're more than just motherhood, you're more than just a pregnancy, you are a person. And then I got into this kind of like very fearful stage of realizing the number. Like, I wasn't so scared with my daughter at 40. I really felt like invincible. It was a new relationship. I found someone that I really wanted to be with. And out of that love, I had no doubt that we would have a kid. I mean, it was more like, will the fibroids, will the PCOS allow that, can that happen? But I was very confident in myself. But after that, in terms of secondary infertility or just not being able to have another child, the fear really just gets into you, and you start to really, not just fear, it becomes all about, I gotta get pregnant, the time, the clock, it's like 44 is coming, 45 is coming. So it's really good to remind ourselves of everything that you just said. I think it's great because when I first read Beyond Baby Making Mode, it was so simple how you put that together. And I was like, oh my God, like, where is the connection to your partner and just enjoying your life and not focusing so much on the conception part? It's still something I go in and out of. So
Yeah,
it's,
and it's a process, Victoria. It's good
yeah,
to for you to. That's a good point to mention because it's not something that we achieve from one day to another. If there is fear there, there are techniques and strategies that we can use to just solve that fear.
Mm-hmm.
And learning about this fear, validating this fear is the first step.
Hmm.
Because I've been working with different types of women that even they didn't acknowledge themselves before working with me that they had fear.
Hmm.
They was just like, okay, so I just need help because I don't know what to eat. I don't know what types of supplements I should take. I don't know when I ovulate that I can, have more intercourse in order to increase my chances. So they want that, step by step, of course, that I can give them. And it's very important to know and learn about it. But how about your feelings? And I had a client recently that shared with me that it's very hard for her. She's on her 44. She been trying for many in different moments of her life. She went through a very traumatic fertility process and fertility treatment on her 30's that didn't work through. But now she's in 44, a new relationship, the same thing that you said. It just come up, empowering thing and empowering fact with a good partner that
Mm-hmm.
she believes. But she says she believes, but in her intimate, she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So every time we talk, it's always like she's talking about somebody else as a third person getting pregnant, as the other person being a mother. So visiting those feelings and exploring them, enable this woman to look at herself and see herself as being pregnant, seeing herself becoming a mother. It's a process. It's a long path that should be, there are many blockages that can exist since from her past, since for anybody's past or traumatic situations that needs to be overcome in order to give you this blast. So she always tell me, "Oh, Juliana, it's been so hard to connect my thoughts to my feelings because she wants this so bad since she was a child." But every time she start thinking, there is this negative point, say, "Oh, I won't get there." And
Mm-hmm.
she's a doctor, she's a naturopath, so she has the knowledge by her side. But even though she can't, she's just like put something in her mind that say, "No, I will fail," or "No, these supplements won't work." So
Mm.
how come you can succeed in a mission if you all truly don't believe it can
Yeah.
happen, right? And this fear is very common as the clock ticks. But
Yes.
the important thing here for all your audience to understand is that we do have three ages: the chronological, biological, and reproductive. So the chronological is the way that we are here in the world since day one we were born. The biological is the age of our cells, and the reproductive is the age of our reproductive system. The good news is the reproductive aging we can change. As soon as we invest in the right strategies to make it live younger, we can, yes, boost this type of information. It's the same of industry saying that the only source of calcium is milk. That
Right.
I know that it's not, and it's not the best one. It's far from being the best one.
Right.
It's people saying, "Oh, at 35, your chances decrease a lot." Hold on, depending on the lifestyle,
Right.
depending on the way you live, depending on the way that you are feeding your reproductive cells. So, I am happy to say that 80% of women I help to conceive on their 40's succeed and thrive a healthy pregnancy because they took care of themselves and they put the right nutrients and the right mindset and the right energy in their bodies before conceiving.
Yeah.
Of course, we know that miscarriage rates can happen and we can have like low eggs count, low eggs reserves, but there are many holistic alternatives that can help you boost and change those numbers. Even if you start with a very not promising stage of, you can definitely go through that. And even if your path is to go under any type of fertility treatment, there are many things in the background that you can do to boost that. What people see, like the frustration I see of clients going through fertility treatments, is that they put all their budget and their energy in the hands of one type of medication, of one type of
Yeah.
procedures, and they forget that there is a body that needs to hold on that embryo, right? There is a mindset that needs to hold on for 9 months of pregnancy. And what I am totally about is to take care of that mama. I started my career taking care of children, like helping mothers taking care of their children. When I started working and looking back and making the process backwards, I understood how this mama was lacking the support. So then I started take care of postpartum mamas while breastfeeding, while managing their hormone balance again, and all that struggling after having a baby as a postpartum doula. Then I visit the pregnancy, the entire pregnancy, the importance of supporting this woman through the pregnancy. And then I realized that there was a lack of support in that community even before conceiving.
Yeah.
So that's why I get what I am now. And I'm so passionate about embrace that woman, and say, hey, come on, hold on. We need to prepare your body physically, emotionally, in order for you to succeed and thrive and understand what motherhood is. I'm going to my fourth child and I'm still learning. It's not easy,
No.
I don't go and dance in the rain all the time. Sometimes I get frustrated. I yell. Sometimes I want to press a button and make everybody disappear because I want my own time with my own room and nobody calling mama, mama here and there. And
Of
I love
course.
my children.
Yeah. Well, they can both coexist. Those feelings can coexist. And I think that's very real to say. Doesn't mean you
Yeah.
love them less. But yeah, it's motherhood is, I feel it changes also per child, I would think. Like, because each experience is different. You do, I'm sure I can imagine just looking at my mom as a mom, you carry, certain experiences and tools from each pregnancy and each child, but not all tools will work with each child. So you adapt. It's a lot of being able to be adaptable. But you make a good point of how basically what's led you to this point is working backwards of going, okay, so I'm working with the kids, now I'm working with the moms and postpartum, I'm working with pregnancy. Wait, this starts even before that time. And so if we as women think about that too, there's a lot that we can do in investing in ourselves prior to even like thinking of having our children. But I think it's not a conversation that's had very often, especially in a purely medical facility or with your doctors. For example, I wanted to ask you, how does someone find, because let's say we work backwards in this sense, we're on social media, we're looking for coaches because we're of that mindset, I want to work with fertility coach. But then there
Hmm.
is the aspect that can't be ignored of working with an OBGYN or
Hmm.
your gynecologist, if you're not quite yet at the obstetrics part of your journey. How do you find the right medical aspect of this to match the fertility coach that you're working with? Does that make any sense? Like would
Yeah.
your what would your advice be in finding what are you looking for in someone who's going to be at that part of the journey as well? Because it's a team effort, right?
It is totally, yeah. One does not, cover another. You need both kind of paths, right? I think the answer for this question, Victoria, is knowledge. And I truly believe that knowledge is power. So learning what both of these professionals can do for you. This is the first step. When I work with clients, either going through fertility treatment or even only having this OB support to help them conceive naturally, what I feel is that sometimes there is a lack of knowledge of what to ask your doctor,
Exactly.
what to advocate yourself for, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had many clients that didn't, let's say there was a case last year. Fortunately, she got pregnant at 41 after failing in IUI for over 2 years. And she had no idea that she could say, hey doctor, I think you're missing my, because she missed, actually the doctor missed many ovulations in her cycle.
Oh,
And because she was 41, and I taught her that as we age we can ovulate a little bit earlier in our cycle than
then the
later.
days, right?
the
Then,
doctor were the doctors were calculating as an average.
yeah.
And this is what I hate about doctors, because they look at you as a number in an average.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone is unique, right? Your story is unique, your menstrual cycle is unique. So as soon as we start working together, I asked her to hold on for one cycle, and then she told her doctor, saying, "No, this month I won't take medications. I want to learn about my body, and I will be back to you next month." So she allowed herself first to make sure that we are putting the foods that she needed to boost to support the hormones and to grow this follicle very successfully. So during this month, she was able to learn about her menstrual cycle, and through strategies as seed cycling, basal body temperature, we put together many, pieces of this puzzle. So she could see that she was ovulating earlier. And then
Mm.
she realized, oh, my doctor is missing. I'm going to the appointment. And then they said that they did the ultrasound and say, oh, you ovulated already. Come back next cycle. But every negative is a failure for
Mm-hmm.
that woman, is a loss, because especially as we age, the clock is ticking on the back of our head, saying, oh my goodness, how did they
Yeah,
miss?
you can't
You're
afford to miss a cycle. You know what I mean? Like I totally understand because this happened to me.
yeah,
This happened to me
yeah.
with my fertility clinic, and it was maddening. I'm like, every minute counts. Like I can't afford to miss a whole cycle.
Of course, yeah, yeah. And because you were a number, this
Yeah.
is the thing. And I will get there to answer your questions. But so when she started empowering herself to learn about her cycle and understand when she was ovulating, I told her, okay, so now you go back to your doctor. She started a new cycle. She booked an appointment and said, as you go to your doctor and say, hey, I want you please to book me earlier this time, because I know I'm ovulating earlier. And then she asked me, can I do that? This is the first thing. And I told her, of course, you can do that, because it's your body, it's your child, it's your pregnancy. You're paying that clinic to support you and put the tools together, but this is you. So she was so surprised that she could go there and do it. And what happened is she ovulated and she got pregnant, like on the
Wow.
second month. I get so emotional
Wow.
when
I
I
have
when I talk about
goosebumps.
this.
I have goosebumps.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
It's crazy because I thought she hired me for 4 months program, and she got pregnant at the second. So, like
Wow.
at the middle of our treatment, I was supporting her pregnancy and not her fertility journey anymore. So it was crazy. And she was like shocked, because she was not expecting that at all. She was expecting that hopefully by the end of the program, she would be able to get pregnant. But she was not expecting at all. And it's, again, answering your question, it's about knowing what to expect from these two types of professionals,
Yeah.
right? You need both. But what I do as a fertility coach is to empower you to know what to do, and to know um, where and with who you can rely on, and how you can advocate for yourself. Say, hey, the same thing that I teach you how to make good choices on your grocery shop, or how to meditate at your home, bringing those affirmations to make sure that you're trusting yourself, believing yourself back, and dissolving those fears, is the same thing of raising your hands and say, hey doctor, there's something wrong there. And I want to discuss with you because I know that my ovulation tracker is telling me that I am ovulating earlier. Or maybe, doctor, I don't feel safe of coming here that early because I know I ovulate later. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's understanding what are the roles of both, and you know, using them to your benefit, using their knowledge. And I'm sure that any doctor will say no to you. Of course, not any, I cannot guarantee that, but most of the doctors will support you because their job is to have you succeed,
Right.
right?
Right.
And my job is also to have you succeed. So combining those two forces is the way to go when you are looking for like a very successful path and a good support to you through this journey.
It's good that you mentioned that because because the reason why I brought that question up is I have found now that I'm in this phase of wanting to conceive, I have a different need in my OB and
Hmm.
GYN, you know what I mean, than I did in my 20s. So
Sure.
I realized not that there weren't questions I could have asked back then. I wish I had them. I wish I hope you add to your service of even like going how you've been going backwards, go into teaching people in their 20s, women in their 20s of what they can do to
Sure.
just not just just to conceive but to know their bodies. I'm sure there are a lot of women who haven't even really seen their vaginas, like their
Yes.
own. You know what I mean? To know
Yes.
where it come, what is this, what is that, what is the role of that, you know. So it would be great if we could even go back and empower us at that age. But I didn't have I didn't feel the need to ask that many questions until now because I feel like I have so much more that I'm focused on. So
Hmm.
I feel that the ovulation cycle is something a lot of us get wrong because even
Hmm.
our apps or anything like that, it's going to go with the average. But
Yeah.
you have to do a lot of work. It's not a lot. I think it's very simple, but you have to take the time, I should say, to try
Yeah.
to find out what your ovulation period looks like and how many days, because that can be
Hmm.
a huge factor.
Yeah.
For example, this client, do you remember what her days were? How many days? It wasn't 28. I'm assuming it was earlier.
Yeah, no, she was on the, like, I think her cycle was a little bit shorter than that. It was like 26. And then she was ovulating a day 8 to day 9. She got pregnant on ovulating on the day 9. And the average says 11 because the
Wow.
average says you say, you say like you started having intercourse on 11. And then this case was a sperm donor because
Hmm.
unfortunately her partner had issues with his sperm. But in other ways, people start, oh, I need to have intercourse on the 11. And I say, do you know that? Like, do you ovulate on the 14th? Do you have a 28-day cycle? So it's all about this. It's all about learning. And as you mentioned about ovulation tracker, what I feel is that because the industry is so trendy right now on selling those pharmacies tests and
Hmm.
$300, whatever, testing at home, and
Hmm.
I always tell my clients, don't spend your precious money on those things because if you don't know the answer that you want from those, you're just spending money and
Right.
getting frustrated,
Right.
and it can cost $8 for a ovulation tracker at a pharmacy, but it can cost $300 for a very unique urine testing, tracking, whatever. But what I can tell is that your urine can also oscillate it depending on what you eat, how much fluids did you take before you testing, and so all those little pieces. I love to give the freedom of to my clients to choose their method, but what I say is that I would teach them the differences between.
Hmm.
So to be honest, I don't count on the urine test at home because basal body temperature, cervical mucus, and the day of your cycle can tell you much more than that. And you spend $7 with an internal vaginal thermometer, and that's what you need. Dot.
There you go.
So it's cheap. It doesn't need to be complex and expensive to learn how your body works. And this is the main thing, understanding your cycle, understanding when you ovulate. And if you ovulate, when we get in the age of our 40s, it's very common for us to have anovulatory cycles.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the worst thing in the world. It doesn't mean that you're going into perimenopause. It doesn't mean that you're on a menopause. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that probably your eggs reserve are a little bit lower than when you were on your 20s. And we need to make sure that you boost that eggs quality, and then we will support your estrogen dominance while you are producing and growing your follicles in order for you to release a healthy egg. Because it's not only about releasing an egg and say, oh, I ovulate. Okay, so did you release a healthy egg? Did you release an egg can be fertilized? Did you release an egg that will thrive a healthy pregnancy or will lead to a loss? So all these matter. And once you know, it's easy for you to don't get frustrated and to don't get your rush cover all your feelings, because it's important for you to know what can happen. That's why, like, learning about your body at least 3 months before conceiving, I would say, coming out from birth control, for example, I would say almost a year for your body to produce hormones naturally back then. I took this time. I had a loss because even being a nutritionist and supporting mamas back when I was on my 39, I was not supporting my body in the fertility process. I knew what to eat, I knew that, but I was not familiar with tracking and understanding and how much time I needed to give my body the chance to produce my hormones naturally back then. So I rushed it up and then I lost. So,
Mm-hmm.
and what
I'm
I do,
sorry.
and we cannot prevent a loss. It can happen with everybody,
Mm-hmm.
but if you have the knowledge by your side and if you have more tools to make sure that you are doing the best, sometimes it's better to get a step back to move to forward,
Mm-hmm.
and then prevent this type of sadness and heartbreaking experience,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I'm
So yeah.
Since we last talked, I don't even if you know, I was pregnant.
I
Oh,
know.
you
Yeah.
read, yeah, you're on social media. Yeah, I was pregnant.
Yeah.
But it for me, what I think optimized my opportunity to get pregnant after the fertility, first I had to get all of those medications out of my body,
Yeah.
right? That took a long time to cleanse that out, I think. And then also I was suffering from inflammation and didn't even know it. And some
Yeah.
friends of mine from Strong Wellness were like, "I think you're suffering from inflammation. Eat this, eat that, don't eat that." And I think it actually supported us to even have a pregnancy. But I'm still missing. There's a factor for me. I think in those affirmations, I was so fearful when I saw the pregnancy say positive. I was like, oh my God, I can't lose it, as opposed to saying, I'm not going to lose it. It's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying, again, we're not saying that that is why the loss happened. We're still testing, and I
Sure.
don't know yet. And hopefully, I'll get the results of the biopsy soon. But there's so many aspects to having a healthy outcome, at the very least, just to take care, going back to what you said originally, taking care of you, yourself, the vessel,
Yeah.
the person,
Yeah. It is the person.
the person.
It is. It's not only a womb, right?
Yeah.
And I, of course, I feel super sad, and I feel for you with this loss. And I
Thank you.
know how hard you are now looking for answers.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing we need to validate and understand, it's not. Sometimes we don't have one answer for that question.
Mm-hmm.
It's a combining factors, right? As
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned, like I used to say that conceiving a baby is a big puzzle of many small and big pieces. There
Mm-hmm.
are some big pieces that are easier to understand and put together and understand how that works, but there are also many little pieces that it's important also to validate in order to succeed and, again, thrive this healthy pregnancy. I did have a client with a recent loss, and it was her first loss, and it was a very later on 9 weeks. It's very painful, and she
Mm-hmm.
was going through, like, for an entire month. She's starting losing at the New Year's Eve, so it's painful. It's unbelievable, because she was so, as you mentioned, she was so surprised that she got pregnant so soon with the good strategies that she was using. But then for her, for example, she believes that she, because she has some thyroid disorders, she said, I didn't address that on time. And I told her, that's correct, that can be one trigger, but blaming yourself and
Yeah.
understanding that it's all your fault, it's not the way to go. And at some moment, I am supporting her now after loss, just to make sure that she will have all this support before I go into some mat leave. But I'm supporting her on this journey. And it's very hard to hear from her that she's doubting her love. She said because she didn't feel a truly connection with this baby, she feels that she failed giving him enough love. And this is so heartbreaking when I hear someone telling this type of thing to me, because I know how hurtful it is. I know how sad and hurt she is. But doubting if you eat the right thing, doubting if address some thyroid issues, but doubting your love, and because you didn't feel that connection, that's why I feel so empowering to embrace those women, because it's a very lonely journey. It's, even if you have a good partner by your side, even if you have good friends and family members that support you, that pain, it's only yours.
Yeah.
And when I usually I finish the call, and I kind of like to give myself some time to recover, because I want them to feel loved by me,
Hmm.
in order to enable them to share and cry and let the tears and the hurtness like come out, because it's important.
Yeah.
She has a toddler,
Mm.
and of course when you have another little child, it doesn't allow you to be crying all the
Nope.
time, to be laid in your bed and put the blanket on your face and only wake up 3 days after. No, you need to wake up, and she's breastfeeding still, and he's going to daycare, so she needs to leave, and she needs to smile, and she needs to have strength to take care of her family. So it's too much on us.
Yeah.
I know. So that's why, again, the role of a fertility coach, a fertility partner, I always say that when people start working with me, I say, I will be your person. So that is a moment that you close the doors for an hour, and you have that time for you, because you need to feel that. You need to tell your story. You need to feel heard. You need to know that somebody is listening for your most dumb questions, as they usually tell me,
Mm.
to most like the other feelings that needs to come through. Otherwise, you don't flip the page. You cannot flip the page and say, this is part of my past. I will acknowledge and validate. It's part of me. It's my story. But now I need to move forward,
Yeah.
and finding ways to move forward without annihilating that pain, without forgetting and putting in a box that somehow at some moment that box will explode, and then will be even worse.
Yeah. I know that. I've been looking for pillows recently to just scream into.
I know, I know.
But no, it's really good, and I think you make a good um I think what's great, what I'm learning and just speaking to you, and the benefits of a fertility coach, is that if you do happen to find yourself with an OB that's a little bit too old school in thought, to have a fertility coach or your partner, in the background just saying, okay, but this is what we can do to support, I think it's great. And if you find someone who is of the same mindset of your fertility coach, even better. I say that only because I've found times with the particular OB that I was working with, I just asked him like, so do you think I should eat anything? You have any recommendations, just to kind of see where he was, anything I could eat, that could probably help here, as I go along this pregnancy. It's so early. He's like, oh, just eat a normal diet. And just it was just so dismissive. I was like, You and I are not really on the same path. Like, you had nothing to say. And I just thought, yeah, I need to probably not do this. I didn't really feel like I should, you know what I mean? Like, it just didn't feel like we
Hmm.
should probably work together for much longer. So I'll look for someone else. But the good case is, if you do look into fertility coaching and someone like Juliana, hopefully Juliana, um, it I don't see why that wouldn't just at least help. It couldn't hurt
Yeah.
having someone else on your team. So I
Yeah,
think
and
it's great.
I don't blame these professionals because they have like that protocols to follow.
Yeah.
They have agenda that I just feel that every time that you go in a in the OB office, there is like some light saying that you should leave in most 15 minutes. This is
Yeah.
15 minutes, the most that you
Yeah.
can stay. So I truly believe that if somebody is very willing to learn about how they can eat to support a possible pregnancy, if they start explaining, they won't stay for 15 minutes with you. There are lots more questions that will come up, right?
Mhm.
But the good thing is that I'd love for everybody to know is that there are many foods that you can eat at different stages of your cycle that will support your hormones. You need hormone balance to conceive. And first of all, if coming out from pills and birth control or medications, as you mentioned, it's important to clean your liver. So liver is the organ that is responsible to clean our body from toxins, including medications, including pesticides from non-natural sources, including the stress that we generate, the environment, and
Glyphosates,
all
yeah.
endocrine disruptors that we're exposed to, right?
Mhm.
So liver is the main organ in our body. If the liver is not working properly or is overloaded with toxins, the liver is also responsible to metabolize and balance hormones. So if we need, or this is another piece of the puzzle, right? You need hormones to get pregnant and
Mhm.
to maintain a healthy pregnancy. If you have an overload liver, because of many different types of situation, it means that your body is not metabolizing properly hormones. So sometimes the first step is to clean your liver
Mhm.
with a detox diet, and it doesn't mean drinking juices for 3 days or fasting for how many hours. It doesn't mean that. It's just switching some types of food to support your liver to clean. And the liver cleans very fast. It's not something that would take months and years to clean a liver. No, it's a very smart organ. That's why he's big and he's there for you. So, as soon as you know what to do, and then you boost that liver to metabolize and balance your hormones, and then understanding how to, I just had a client recently that we recognize that we need to address her progesterone, not her estrogen, even if she's aging, and she was concerned about the estrogen. I said, no, 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 no. The numbers are telling us otherwise. So we start focusing on your progesterone. So that's what we're doing. So some food, some good fat, some good fatty fish, nuts, and all the building blocks proteins that will make sure that we're going to, boost that progesterone. So of course, I don't blame the doctor of not taking the time to explain. For them, it's so much easier to say a normal diet,
Right.
XOXO.
Right.
But it's not the truth. So there are many things and simple things. So when I put together my program, Believe and Conceive Made Simple, that is a 100% online program, especially because I'm going to mat leave for a couple months. I want to, empower those women if want to work with a fertility coach without having to meet every week, or even if they want to work with me, I won't be available for a couple of months after having my baby. But in a way, to take you by hand and showing the steps. The first step of connecting your mindset with your body, overcoming fears and strategies to do that. Journaling, write about your feelings, validate them, understand and visit why those fears exist to yourself and say, okay, come on, I can do that, right? And then going through all your menstrual cycle, understanding the phases, understanding depending what you eat when you are bleeding, when you are on your follicular phase, in order to grow your follicle, and then during your ovulation, how you can warm up your body and making sure that you are promoting a very healthy ovulation, having intercourse and teaching them how to find that fertile window to have the intercourse if you're trying naturally, intercourse in those days to increase your chances, finding that connection with your partner, to don't see your partner as a number of tons of billions of sperms. He's a human being too, and he's part of this too. And then supporting them in order to the 2 weeks wait. Everybody says about, oh, the horrible 2 weeks wait. Come on, if you think about it, it's a horrible period. How are you seeing this pregnancy coming,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's a beautiful moment. It's when you embrace yourself and put all the love in your womb and make sure that you are giving that. And if it doesn't happen, that's okay. You have a new start. It's not a failure. I know that it sounds like, oh, okay, it was not that time when you see the bleed coming. But the bleed coming tells you your body's working. Your uterus is expelling all the waste that you don't need anymore to prepare your body for another chance. So this is the flip and shift of mindset that you need to see in every single cycle. And this is the step-by-step I give in my online program in a simple manner, right? And of course, navigating all the food that you can include in your diet, the harmful ingredients that you must cut in order to, clean your body and boost your liver functions. All these things in a simple way. So I want to make it simple. That's why my company is called Made Simple Nutrition, because it needs to be simple. Nobody wants any complexity anymore. They want to understand. And again, knowledge is the number one. So once you learn what's good for you, it's easier for you to make those good choices. It's not, I see many patients coming to me after visit a dietitian and say, I went there and then she just gave me a piece of paper and told me to follow. And I said, okay, if you don't explain, how do you expect that someone will go grocery shop and say, oh, I need to eat gluten-free, let's say, because I'm inflamed. Why am I inflamed? Okay, so I will teach you. Gluten can inflame your body because the GMO process, because it's not the same grain as anymore. But as soon as you eat organic, sometimes you can still have wheat and you are not celiac because of this. So it's not something, and sometimes it's simple for them to explain, but they handle like a piece of paper and expect that someone would change their lives from one day to another and change their habits. It's important to remember changing a habit takes up to 21 days. So either conceiving a baby that I say it's at least 3 regular menstrual cycles for you in order for you to prepare and boost and improve your eggs quality. 21 days is the time you need to change a habit. And I am seeing someone that since her childhood, since her teenager ages, was eating processed food because her mother didn't cook. So it's not from one day to another that will change her.
Right.
I need to teach. She needs to be open to learn first, of course, and then start trying. You need your mouth and your taste need to change. You have your memory of food, and your mouth is all familiar with some types of tastes that comes from processed, that comes from salty, that comes from sugar. And then when you are presenting all natural flavors back, or fishes that you never tried before, or this or that, or nuts, let's say, it will be weird. And don't blame yourself, say, oh, I will never eat this again. No, you need to expose yourself again many other times in order for your body to change and say, oh, actually, this is good. This is interesting. And then you just keep going.
Yeah, it's like
So it is a
you're
process.
training your mouth, your palate to
Yeah.
hold different type of way of eating.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's not something that you do in one day or 1 week. It takes time, but it can be simpler. That's why, learning in a simple way. This program I put together, it's 28 video classes that doesn't take longer than 10 minutes. So you can watch the videos in a trip to the washroom very quick. It doesn't need to take you some time and then fill up things. No, it's just in order to open your head and mind to say, oh, I didn't know that. That's good to know. Oh, really? Can I use that? And this is good for me. It's just like simple ways to observe and learn and help you to make those choices, make those changes in a more simpler way in a process, right? Together with all the strategies that we need. And it's so important for us to use when we are shifting that mindset of fearness and and feeling that we are fail and all those things that holds us back, hold us back, that it's not welcome for who is trying to conceive. And especially during the stressors, we are not promoting ovulation. Like, there are some recent studies saying that stress can stop you to ovulate, and you don't need to be in premenopause or menopause.
Mm.
It's just about stress. And then once you dissolve that things that is worrying you or blocking you, you start ovulating again.
Wow.
I got pregnant for this baby because I was like, I think I was in a third an ovulatory cycle, and I thought that I was in a third on an ovulatory cycle because I always track. I use myself also as a study, right? Because I want to know, and even after having this baby, I will continue tracking my ovulation just to know until when I'm ovulating, until when I am having those cervical mucus healthy. I want to be used in order to help other women. But on the third cycle, that I was very sure that I was an ovulatory, I start seeing the oscillations, and I said, okay, we took the risk, and this here it comes, my little girl.
But you finally
And I
get
told
your
my husband,
girl.
you know what? I know what I'm doing, and I took the risk, honey, and you did too. And it happened, and she's here healthy and beautiful and big.
Oh my gosh. You finally Julianne has 3 boys. She's finally getting her girl. And
Finally.
that's so awesome. Where do they find you? I mean, you hear it's made simple nutrition. Where
Yeah.
else, how do they find you?
Yeah, so they will find me on Instagram. I'm very, I'm trying to be very present, but in the late pregnancy, to be honest, I take care of my things. I need to tell you that I take care of my things very personally. So I don't hire anyone to do my things. It's all me. So
Mhm.
if I disappear, it's just because I am taking care of many other things regarding to my 4 children.
You're forgiven. You're forgiven. It's understood. We're all
Yeah.
mommies and parents here, so not a problem at all.
Awesome. Yeah. So Made Simple Nutrition is my Instagram account. You see, even if it's not, you know, um, the most recent things, but you will see like lots of great materials there with my reels when I have fun doing that. And madesimplenutrition.com is my website, www.madesimplenutrition.com. You will see different ways to work with me, different packages, different programs that I have available. Even this Believe and Conceive Made Simple, that is an online one that I am promoting right now because I'm going to mat leave, but probably I will be back. Hopefully, I will be back in April. And then we're going to launch the Beyond Maybe Making Mode, the group coaching program, together with the peer that is she's amazing also. She did all this mindset strategies through meditation and breathing. I do have some of her videos available inside my Believe and Conceive Made Simple program. 3 videos, amazing, that is shifting mindset, healing your womb after loss, or healing your womb even when you just mentioned. I did have a client last year that she's 44. She never tried to conceive, and she's trying now. And but she has some traumas coming from her childhood, and kind of like a blockage of not wanting to be like her mother, not wanting to follow motherhood patterns that she doesn't believe. So healing your womb, it's also about, healing some expectations that you thought that are to be yours, but no, to validate those and learning that your life is yours. You have your own story to write and your own story to live. So this is so important. So that's why these Beyond Baby Making Mode program is coming together with Christine. She's just an expert in fertility as well. So we have like many ways to work together, and of course I will be back in April for my one-on-one coaching for the ones that wants to be close to me, meeting every week and learning step by step, learning and overcoming and having someone to count on, to listen to you, and to take you by hands also through this journey that is so meaningful and needs to be meaningful as a woman first, right? Validating you as a woman, even before becoming a mother, even before having a baby. So this way will be much easier for you to thrive a good motherhood.
Great stuff, right? Let it be a reminder to all of us that we've got to take care of ourselves. Mind, body, and spirit need to be all aligned no matter where you are along this journey. But if you're starting out, definitely make sure to prep your body from the inside out first. And that includes what you eat, that includes what you say, that includes what you think about your journey. Positive vibes, everybody, is definitely something to take you through whatever life throws at you. So please follow her at Made Simple Nutrition, and you can always follow me and subscribe at New Mommy at 40, and I can't wait to see you next week. Take care of yourselves and each other.